We're into Piaget, stage 2 of cognitive development. How does our brain and our thinking ability change as we grow? We looked at stage 1, which was sensory motor, where infants, essentially toddlers 0 to 2 years old, learn mainly through their senses, feel, touch, sight, and through their motor skills, moving around, touching things. So now we're moving on to stage 2, and we'll see that the brain develops a little bit more and they're able to do more things. Yet the brain is still working differently than an adult brain. All right, here we go. Grab your sheet, your note sheet, and go ahead and take notes. All right, first off, we have the pre-operational stage. That's what this one is called, pre-operational. And you can kind of look at that. Pre means before. So it's like before the brain is fully operational. So it's like before it's fully operational. I mean, that's just one way to look at it. And by the way, when we say operational, we mean logical thinking. So literally, it's pre-logical thinking. So this age, there's kids are still not terribly logic. You can make them almost believe anything. And this is age 2 to 7. Again, those are not hard years. That's just like typical growth. You may have some that get to this stage when they're 1.5. You may have some exit this stage when they're 6. So it's not hard and fast, but around 2 to 7 is pre-operational or pre-logical thinking. So what do we have here? Characteristics. There's no logical mental action, and what we mean by that is they lack the if-then reasoning. If I do this, then it'll happen. They're not. It's not fully functioning in terms of that aspect of it. However, what is happening is rapid language acquisition. Kids at this age gain language so quickly, vocabulary very quickly, which is why all research shows if a child is being read to when they're young, like this age 2 to 7, they will develop a vocabulary far greater than children who don't get read to. That's why it's so critical. Probably the most important thing that can be done for a child when they're young is to be read to. One of the most important things. So, but they're gaining language very, very quickly. So it's also important too that parents are having conversations with them, and they're not just being neglected. All right, next. Uh, in Jean Piaget said one of the main types of play that we see in the 2 to 7 year old is pretend play. So very, very imaginative minds going on, and often it is all kind of symbolic kind of play. You see the boy with the broom, and yet he thinks it's a horse. It's that sort of play. The little girls feeding the child at dinner, right? The baby doll at dinner. So it's a lot of pretend play. All right, so I think there's a place to put that. All right, awesome. Next, they are also still egocentric. There's still an egocentric aspect to these kids, and in this case, they kind of believe everyone thinks the same way as them. They don't realize that like another person may have a very different perspective than them. So that's very difficult for them. Their mind doesn't quite wrap around like, oh, other people think differently than me. Yeah, I mean, adults have trouble with this in the sense that they don't realize that people think differently, and it's okay to be tolerant of them. In America today, we tend to, you think differently than me, I hate your guts. You must be a evil jerk. But actually, people do think differently, and that's okay. All right. There's a really important concept here that we're going to watch a couple of video clips on, and it's called conservation. It's a conservation task, and it's a type of logical thinking. Conservation task. Conservation in this case means like um, how size and shape can change, yet the amount you have still stays the same. Maybe I just show you the video in a second, but basically, it's the ability to determine that a certain quantity will remain the same. So the quantity of something remains the same despite adjustments of the container or shape. So the quantity of whatever you have stays the same, even if you put it in a different container, even if you put it in a different shape, or you apparently change the size. So conservation tasks. It's your ability to think logically, like you were able to process like that is still the same product, even though I put it in a different container. That's still the same thing, even though I shaped it differently. That's still the same, even though the size looks different. It's still the same amount. So that's called conservation task. And this is a Piaget. He does this. You can do this practice. You could actually try this with children if you have cousins or little siblings or whatever, or you're babysitting. And I've had multiple students actually go and try this and do these tasks with kids. And this is Piaget's attempt to see at what level the logic is happening. And if a kid gets this at 6, then they're into stage 3. They're not in stage 2 anymore. So you're kind of checking to see their ability to think. Okay, let's watch a video on this. It's really cool. So pay attention. So you'll notice they got 2 containers of liquid. So here we go.
2 rows of quarters. Okay. Does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more quarters, or are they the same?
The same.
The same? Okay. Now watch.
Good job, kid. Good job, kid.
Now, does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more quarters, or are they the same?
That one has more quarters.
That one has more quarters?
Yeah.
Why does that one have more quarters?
Because it's stretched out.
Because it's stretched out?
See, he doesn't realize it's still the
So
same.
how many are in this room?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. How many are in this room?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So, are there more in this row, or are they the same?
The same.
The same?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have 2 sticks.
Watch this.
Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer, or are they the same?
The same.
The same? What about now? Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer, or are they the same?
That stick is longer.
This stick is longer?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because you moved it over.
So now it's longer.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me. I'm gonna pour blue water into each of these cups, and you're gonna have to tell me when they have the same amount. Okay? Okay. Tell me when this one is the same.
The same.
The same?
The same.
Those 2 are the same now?
The same.
Okay.
All right, good, good, good. Now watch what she does.
So I get the same.
She's gonna mess with this kid's
Okay,
mind.
Watch this. We're gonna take the blue water from this glass, and we're gonna pour it into this glass.
Oh man.
Now, does this glass have more water? Does this glass have more water, or are they the same?
Yeah, check it out, kid. Check it out. Put them up next to each other.
More water.
Oh, it has
This
more.
one has
Yes.
more water?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because that one's higher than that one.
That one's
There you
higher
go.
than
Yeah,
that.
it's higher than that. Yeah, good.
Can you tell me?
All right, so you get the point here. The kid doesn't realize the logic of the fact that it's the exact same amount of liquid. Like we didn't lose any liquid, but because it's taller, he doesn't get logically that it's actually still the same. So that's what they mean by conservation task. They do not have this ability to think yet. And this is a Piaget exercise that can be again recreated with a younger cousin or another child. And if you go on YouTube, you can actually find like a bunch of these different types of conservation tasks. You go look up Piaget conservation tasks, all kinds of them. All right, cool. That's it for this lesson, stage 2. Now you got to compare stage 1 and stage 2 and make sure you can tell the difference. Thanks.